Iran signaled a firm refusal to engage in negotiations with the United States as Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi declared that Tehran would continue its resistance despite claims from Washington that talks were underway.
Speaking on state television, Araghchi emphasized that Iran had no intention of negotiating and maintained that no formal discussions had taken place. He explained that while various ideas had been presented and communicated to senior officials, any decision on Iran's position would be made at the highest levels if necessary. Although messages were being exchanged through friendly countries and intermediaries, he insisted these contacts did not constitute dialogue or negotiation. Araghchi also addressed the strategic Strait of Hormuz, stating that it remained open only to nations considered friendly to Iran. As the ongoing Middle East war has severely disrupted the critical oil and gas shipping route, he clarified that Iran's armed forces were ensuring safe passage for allied vessels while denying access to those seen as adversaries and their partners. Meanwhile, the White House maintained that communication with Tehran had not collapsed, even as reports suggested Iran had rejected a U.S. proposal aimed at ending the conflict. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that some details reported about a 15-point U.S. plan contained elements of truth, but were not entirely accurate. She declined to identify Washington's interlocutor in Tehran following the assassination of Tehran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, noting uncertainty surrounding the public absence of his son and successor, Mojtaba Khamenei. Reports have pointed to Muhammad Bagher Khalibaf, the Speaker of Parliament, as a possible channel for communication. At the same time, the White House warned that President Donald Trump stood ready to escalate dramatically if no negotiation or agreement could be reached. As tensions intensified, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Israeli forces were expanding a buffer zone in southern Lebanon as part of ongoing operations against Hezbollah. He said the move was designed to prevent infiltration into northern Israel and to push threats such as anti-tank missiles farther from the border. Netanyahu stressed that dismantling Hezbollah remains central to Israel's objectives and linked to campaign directly to the broader confrontation with Iran. The conflict in Lebanon escalated after Iran-backed Hezbollah launched rocket attacks into Israel on March 2nd in retaliation for the killing of Khamenei, further widening the regional war. Amid the escalating violence, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres issued a stark warning that the conflict had spiraled beyond control. Speaking at the United Nations headquarters in New York, he cautioned that the war had exceeded even the limits leaders once thought possible and warned of a looming broader confrontation, increasing human suffering and severe global economic consequences. He urged an immediate halt to military escalation and called for a return to diplomacy and respect for international law, directing a particular appeal to the United States and Israel to end the war as civilian casualties mount. Guterres also called on Iran to stop attacks on Gulf countries, emphasizing that they were not parties to the conflict. In a related development, the United Nations Human Rights Council condemned Iran's attacks on its Gulf neighbors and called for full reparations to victims. The 47-member body adopted a resolution brought forward by the Gulf Cooperation Council countries and Jordan, demanding that Iran immediately and unconditionally cease all unprovoked attacks and compensate those affected. Tehran swiftly rejected the criticism, with its ambassador Ali al-Raini arguing that the council had misdirected its condemnation. He accused Israel of pushing the world toward chaos and warned Gulf countries that their current allies could eventually turn against them.